Good morning. It's Wednesday, March 27th. We're here for the Commissioners' Board meeting. I'll, at this point, call the meeting to order. We have a full slate of commissioners, Mike Gonzalez and the Clerk of the Board. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move to adopt the current agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion passes. Approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Motion passes. Approval of warrant registers and payroll rosters. There should be, what, two today?
We got two fund expenditures. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve fund expenditures in the amount of $976,988.42 and noted that it has been signed by two members of the Auditor's Office and our County Administrator.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I move to approve fund expenditures in the amount of $13,901.25 and noted that it has been signed by two members of the Auditor's Office and the County Administrator.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Is there anyone in the room today for public comment? Do we have any callers on the phone? Thank you.
Look that over.
Yeah.
Caller,
All right.
you have 3
The
minutes.
mayor in Kennewick, thank you for the time. The mayor in Kennewick is accused of sex trafficking. Eventually, a special prosecutor is set forth, but the wagons are circled, and the mayor and everyone around him attempts to shield him from felonies. If you haven't heard of the Tumble Weird publication, you should follow them on Instagram. You don't think the prosecutor in the other county does the same thing? They know to cover each other's back. When Jim Raymond is accused of assaulting his daughter-in-law and Miss Ty, the prosecutor was set forth. But when Jim Raymond failed to mention his use of force, which is required by law against any citizen, when he karate chopped a woman to the throat and nearly broke her arm, no report was written. No mention of it was made. Why not, Jim Raymond? Why did you not mention? I thought you take reports of all crime and all action, Jim Raymond. You said that last February. Not only is not a special prosecutor set forth, but then the prosecuting office continues to prosecute for their friend. A prosecutor knows that an officer, it is well-established law that an officer cannot be the complainant of a disturbing of peace, especially in a public forum. So, every action the prosecutor has taken is questioned and should be questioned against every defendant in this area. Either you understand the basic building blocks of justice and the structure of the law that you are enforcing upon people, or you've been complacent and compliant with illegal activity, just like in Kennewick. These local governments circle the wagon and will even support sex trafficking. I've said it long ago, and you can check the court records. I accused, or reportedly accused, someone of sex trafficking or trying to have sex with my children, and that would be the attorney for Franklin County. Now, that's not what I said. I said his misinterpretation was fucking my children. Pardon my language. Actively engaging in sex trafficking.
We don't tolerate that
as
type
though
of
the
language
mayor
here, so
of Kennewick-
thank you.
It's
Anyone else in the
protected
room for
speech.
public
Please don't
comment?
interrupt.
Anyone else in the room for public comment today? All right. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Your call cannot.
Oh, is there more than one call?
There's a column line for the employees. We'll just have to turn that back on real quick. We accidentally.
Oh, okay.
Take just a couple minutes here to get the phone lines reset. Thank you.
Welcome. Please enter the meeting access code you entered is invalid. Please re-enter the meeting access code. The meeting access code you entered. Your call cannot be completed. Welcome. To join a call, please enter the attendee access code. The meeting access code you entered. Welcome. Welcome. Please enter the meeting access code.
I don't know that we need to wait on, we're still live on the camera.
Yeah, they're trying to hook up for the rest of the
Welcome.
house to hear.
To join a call,
But this is where it's live.
White.
please enter the attendee.
I think it has something else wants to call in.
There's a lot of time.
Julio, why are we waiting?
That phone line is for employees to call into. So Jennifer, yeah, that's how they listen to the meeting live to know when to send calls up here.
Yeah, because the public comment's closed right now, so there's going to be a period of time. Yeah.
Yep. Right, okay. You can keep trying, but we're going to continue.
Okay. So moving on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the consent agenda items 1 through 6 as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I second with discussion on item number 1.
Okay. Discussion on item 1.
Looking at this organizational chart, I realize that the clerk would then be under the direction of our county administrator, but I want to be, as far as hiring and firing, would you have that authority to fire our clerk of the board?
Well, certainly I would have talks with my direct bosses, which are you, before I did that, because we're all in the same circle.
Right.
So
They're-
hopefully that never happens.
Well, I'm just trying to protect our ability because we all interact with her as far as our assignments, and we've got to.
Right, and what I'm trying to do is give a clear chain of command, because as I talked to the chair, the one thing that I'm already doing is signing off on time cards, PTO, vacation time, so that would either put it on the chair or collectively the group, and so my function is to manage individual employees. You guys are policy makers, so it's not necessarily in your bailiwick to to manage employees of the county. So I think that gives clarity for her. So there's a direct chain of command, and then it makes it an easier working relationship, in terms of managing the agenda and things like that.
No further questions.
Any further discussion?
No discussion.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I seconded with discussion.
Second with discussion, thank you. So all in favor of approving consent agenda items 1 through 6, please signify by saying aye.
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 Consent agenda items pass. Moving on to regular business. Procurement of 2 TNT 7x14 enclosed trailers, presented by Laura Stark. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm here today on behalf of the Public Works Department to request you consider authorizing us to purchase 2 7x14 enclosed trailers. These would be used for response to emergencies, road closures, accidents, things like that. So we would be able to just hook up and go. They would be fully stocked with emergency supplies, barricades, signs, flares, things of that nature, instead of our crew who would be responding having to stop at the shop and load what they think they may need. By having these trailers ready to go, we would have one in Connell and one in Pasco. And so it would be, hopefully what we would see is a time savings factor. And so we would be able to respond to our traveling public in a more efficient manner.
Have you had trailers in the past?
No.
Okay.
And we do respond quite often to accidents and incidents, spills on the road, things where we may or may not have the proper response materials in our trucks. So this would just be more efficient.
I can see the efficiency and the time saving. I just don't know if this is the right time of year to be spending the funds, but.
Certainly agree, yes. The cost per trailer is $8,844.07, with a total outlay from the ER&R fund budget of $17,688.14. We can absorb that at this time in our ER&R budget, which is our equipment rent and revolving fund, Fund 500. And we do have those funds available. And this is a purchase off of the state negotiated contract from a vendor here in Pasco who is on the approved list. We don't anticipate any additional expenditures other than the licensing of these trailers. We would stock them with currently items that are currently in stock in our facilities, and so we don't anticipate any additional costs at this time for filling them with what we need, barricades and so forth.
So the current process is that there's a situation happens, and then somebody goes to the shop and then starts loading up what they think that they may need.
Yes.
And this would allow you to have a full entourage of equipment. So that
Correct.
you just hook up the trailer and go to the scene and you're equipped and ready.
Yes, fully equipped and ready. Our road crews are considered first responders, and the trailer will be outfitted with lights so that it is, when it's alongside the road, it will be fully lit up so that people can see that there is an emergency.
And you have this fits with inside your current budget that was already passed.
Yes. And it wasn't on our major equipment purchase list because it's just in the last few months that we've done an analysis and realized what a time savings this would be. And we have quite a few incidences where time is critical. Potato sludge is extremely slick and very hazardous, and so being able to get out there immediately, barricade it off, put up the lights, the flares, whatever is needed at that time until we can get it cleaned up. It is anticipated that the person who is responsible for hooking up this trailer is the first one there after we're notified of an incident.
And this will increase your response time. Do you have an idea of how much this would help in reference to time savings? And then how often is it that you have to return to get additional supplies when you do go to response, you do the best you can and guessing what's necessary, and then how often do you have to go back and resupply?
That information I don't have in front of me, but it's a pretty standard response, but it does all have to be loaded into the pickup bed when we have a situation. The crews don't tend to leave those kind of items in the back of their vehicles. The risk of theft when they are out and about and when the vehicles are parked in our yard and so forth. It does offer a bit of security for that. But as far as the response time will tell. We hope to be more efficient in our response.
No further
Mr.
questions?
Chairman?
Yes.
So what is the current working timeframe of an employee on the Public Works? Is it 410s?
410s for our road crew, yes.
Okay. So we're talking about emergencies. Who's going to, I know that you have people through the weekend, but the workforce is a smaller workforce. Who would be available then to take these to the emergency scene?
Really anyone who can respond. So we, when it's a union employee, the union keeps a list for call-outs and overtime availability. But our road supervisors do a really good job of knowing who is and who is not going to be available. Most likely it will be our road supervisors who grab the trailer and go.
Okay. And are they going to unhook and leave the trailer at the scene?
No,
It will not be unhooked. It will not
I
be
don't believe so,
Because
no.
the trailers are disappearing out there faster than you can shake a stick at.
Correct.
So is there an apparatus that you're going to be able to use to keep the theft from happening if they do unhook and leave them at the scene?
We could, well, on my horse trailer, for instance, I have a hitch lock
Right.
that goes on there, and it's pretty substantial. It would take some effort to
Right.
break that and steal my horse trailer. So
Because I think if you have all the gear there, you won't be just packing it all over the place. You'll want to leave it there for the scene to be dispersed and set up.
we don't normally leave a scene until it's cleared.
Okay?
There's usually some personnel there, unless it's damage to the road that we can sign and close or put a patch on to get the traveling public going again, but leaving, say, barricades and signs there, which we do now. But I don't anticipate the trailer staying there.
Okay.
Time will tell. We haven't had one before, so we're not exactly sure on that.
Okay, so the spills that you're talking about are happening all around my house.
Yes.
On Self Landing.
Everywhere.
Sagemore.
Yes,
Are we doing anything to find out who these culprits are and reclaiming our cause?
yes.
Have we caught
A
any?
lot of times we can trace the leakage back to the source.
Okay,
Usually a truck has been seen, or the sheriff's office notifies us of what they have seen when it's been reported. If we have the information, regardless of what type of incident it is, if we have the contact information for the, we'll call them offender, not that they are an offender, this is not a criminal matter, but we will go through them and their insurance companies, and we will recoup all of the costs to our best ability.
And I'm along with Commissioner Mullen. This is a very financial hard time for the county, and it's really hard to
Yes.
try to justify any purchases, even if they're within your budget, because we don't know what's in store for us down the road here as far as expenditures we might be facing.
Understood.
So it's a tough one right now because we have other asks, and we're trying to really keep a close eye on our budget right now so that we can get into better financial situation for the future. So thank you.
The county road fund will, a rental rate will be established for these trailers through the ER&R fund. When county road responds to these incidences, they will pay the rental rate for that vehicle usage. And so that will be recouped that way. And we're not current expense, so that does help that financial picture. But yes, it's a very critical time for everyone. Businesses, government, personal.
When you said that the trailer is fully equipped with lights, is that just your standard trailer lighting, or would there be additional cost to put emergency lighting on the trailer?
We do have some emergency lighting in stock already that we would be outfitting the trailer with, and we do have the ability to do the wiring and the installation ourselves through our maintenance shop.
All right, thank you.
You're
Any further
welcome.
questions?
I do have something to say, but not a question.
Okay. Chair recognizes Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Chair. Because this is a public safety and it has to do with the safety of our roads in our county, I move for approval of Resolution 2024-081, procurement of 2 new trailers as presented by Ms. Stark today. And while that I agree that our budget needs to be carefully guarded and watched right now, this is a public safety issue, and having been in this industry where to have to do this type of thing, I think that that's a public safety need, and as it's in not in a future budget, but it's in a past current expenditure that we have, I think that it's prudent to do this today, and so I would make that motion.
I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second? Hearing none, the motion does not pass. Moving on to budget workshop agenda creation presented by Mike Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chair. So I know Commissioner Didier has talked about this quite a bit, and the entire board has as well. So I've been working with Tim Anderson to formulate some topics, and today is just really to get the ball rolling and let the public know that next Wednesday we intend to have a budget workshop after the regular meeting. So this will be a series of 1, 3, 5-year projections and some topics that we've come up with so far: revenues trends, expenses trends, staffing levels by department, looking at wages, benefits, how we can make our benefits package more affordable, looking at some of our biggest revenue sources: sales tax, property tax. The Consor study, we looked at some of these things extensively, but I think this is sort of the next step as we head into 2025. So I am meeting with Tim Friday via Zoom. I'll be out of town over in Seattle, but I'm going to make some time to meet with him and kind of formulate some strategies and further the conversation. And as by the time we get to next Wednesday, we should have a pretty robust schedule and start the discussions. So we've been really transparent on some of the shortfalls that we have in our budget or in some of those projections. But I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just a matter of tightening our belts in some areas and looking at some areas where we can save money. So I'm very hopeful, and I think we've got a good team to look at it. So really, again, this agenda item was just an opportunity to tee it up, and if the commissioners had any questions or any wants or needs and desires that they wanted to see out of the budget workshops.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yes. I'd like to really have us look at a 1, 5, and 10-year plan for the county, focusing on the first 1 year, because like the last ask, it is a public safety issue, but it's not stopping us from getting the apparatus there. We can still use the pickup. It just takes a little bit more effort. So I list things as wants and needs, and I believe that we still can get the apparatus there, and we can still keep the county safe. This would just be a little bit quicker way, but it's going to cost. And I think we got to really manage our expenses at this time until we can find the avenue and the route that we need to be on to make everything that we want, we can have. Because needs are different than wants, and we need to focus on what we need. And right now, we need emergency radios for this county, or otherwise, we're not going to be able to back up our sheriff's department, deputies that are in trouble. We're not going to be able to back up our ambulance and our fire. If they can't communicate with one another, that is an emergency that we need. So focus on that first, the 1 year plan, and then we work forward to the 5 and the 10 year, the long-term plan that we want for this county. And hopefully an administration building that we can give this courthouse will be for all of our court needs. And we'll have our administrative building over there that we can move our elections department into. And this is down the road, though. This is after we get our feet firmly planted back on the ground and we're not in this kind of distress. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to add, I'm looking forward to the budget workshops because probably a lot of people don't realize that we cannot talk to each other outside of this meeting unless it's publicly noticed. So it makes it very difficult to get anything done. So I am looking forward to the budget workshops that will be open for the public to view as well, and that we can make decisions on how we can further the progress of Franklin County. Thank you. Did you, Mr. Bauman, Chair recognizes you.
Just agree with what my fellow commissioners had to say about the importance of doing this, and it is difficult to operate when you can't have a thought and just talk about the needs and the concerns that you have. So really looking forward to this, the budget workshops, and hope that we can continue on having workshops where that there's just the opportunity in the public setting to have just a workshop and wrestle through ideas and thoughts. Thank you.
All righty, moving on to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chair. Been working really hard on the HAPO Center. The HAPO Center RFP for the HVAC system went out yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that's been noticed. So I'm sure we'll start getting some vendors putting in their bids. Also been meeting with McKinstry quite a bit. I know Commissioner Bauman met with them for quite a while, and they gave us an update on the progress they've made on the event center side, and they've done a really good job, and I think they may throw their hat in the ring as well on that RFP. Speaking of the HAPO Center, work continues on the new website. We were able to get a hold of the Facebook page with 11,000 followers, so thank you, Julio, and the IS team, because somehow that got away from us, and by a miracle we wrangled it back. So they did a lot of hard work, and that's quite a bit of followers and likes that we have on that page. So it was great to get that back. HWL working on the marketing strategy. letting the public know the HAPO Advisory Board meetings, April 23rd. So looking forward to that. We've got a couple of new members. Some of the things I've been working on is a social media policy for the county, so working with the departments. Our Facebook page is up over 2,000 followers now, so we have a pretty good presence out there, and people are liking our posts, so it's time we put a policy in place for that. Continue to meet with Pasco on the contract that expires with the HAPO Center in May, so those talks continue. Ball's really in their court on what they want to do, if they want to have an equity stake or if they want to walk away. The conversations have been really positive. It sounds like Pasco really wants to rework the interlocal agreement and really be good partners. So we've talked a lot about good partnerships, and I think we've been strong in that sense. That's what we want. And but so far talks have gone really well. Some other things excited about, working with Judge Orozco in District Court. She's able to utilize the opioid funding that comes in, so we were excited to be able to have her utilize those funds. And she continues to do great things with her therapeutic court, so she was really excited about that. And I was just really excited that we can help her continue with her mission, because she's just done an amazing job with that. Also, drug court, working with the PA's office. As our therapeutic court gets more robust and gets better, we may be able to transition some of the folks that are over in the Benton side going to the drug court and kind of work them into our therapeutic court. So I think in the future, you're going to see some great things out of our therapeutic court. Other than that, already working on our health benefits plan, having talks with those folks early, and working with the auditor's office, working with Consort, just really trying to turn over the rocks on how we can save money. So just been really working hard as we head into 2025.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Baumann.
Thank you, Chair. Before I do my full update, I wasn't going to be here today because I'm doing the emergency management drill that's happening, but because of a little bit of a readjustment this morning, I would request the ability to excuse myself early from this meeting so that I can get over there and do that.
Sure.
And then it's been a really, really busy last 7 days. Last week was Ben Franklin Transit. It's Transit Appreciation Week. Stopped by and shook a lot of hands and said thank you to a lot of people for the hard work that they do on behalf of Ben Franklin Transit and the people of our community. Went to a Ben Franklin Health Board meeting, had Columbia River County's Zoom meeting, also met with the offices of Murray, Cantwell, Newhouse, Bernard, and Dozier, and talking about some congressionally directed spending and some of the needs we have here in Franklin County. Really appreciated their warm reception and all the efforts that they are doing on our behalf, as well as Mike and Jason and the hard work that they're doing. There's been I don't know if I didn't count, but I don't know how many meetings I had with these two as we've tried to figure out ways to be effective on Franklin County's behalf. Met with McKinstry last week for several hours and really went through the HAPO Center from the roof, went all the way to the top of the roof to the four corners of the facility, and just what they're doing and all of the efforts that have been going on over the last while, as well as the needs that are coming in front of us, and really appreciated their efforts that's happening there. They've done a tremendous amount of work on that facility already, and I think it's really going to springboard us into some of the needs that we have, and the state giving us those funds to help with that. Also met with Tri-City National Parks Committee last week. Then this week, agenda meetings with the staff, Wasatch Zoom meeting, went to the city council meeting on Monday night, had another meeting with McKinstry in talking about some of the specific needs we have for that facility and kind of what that would look like. It's one thing to know that we need to do something, it's another to know the details, and so really trying to learn the details of what are actually needed there at the HAPO Center. Have had meetings about congressionally directed spending and grant funding possibilities and kind of the process, learning how that goes, working on getting some grant funding for some search and rescue efforts here in Franklin County. One of the things that's really taxing our volunteer emergency response, different, districts and so forth, is Palouse Falls is a long ways. It's the most remote part of Franklin County and the needs that are there. So seeing if we can be helpful in getting some funding for search and rescue out there. And then yesterday and today, doing the Franklin County Emergency Management nuclear drill that's being done with all of our surrounding counties, the state and the federal. It's a drill that's going to be that we have the FEMA folks there that are watching and going to grade us on our efforts, and really appreciate everybody that's involved in that. There's a lot of organizations and counties involved in this, and appreciate the efforts that Sean Davis, our emergency manager, is doing. He's really doing an amazing job as he's coordinating the efforts on our behalf. That's my report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Didier.
First off, last week I met with the Law Library with Mr. Davidson, and we submitted the bills, and I'd just like to say that we're going to have just shy of $10,000 coming back into our accounts for the work we did on the Law Library down below. They said just submit the bills and they would reimburse us for that, and I just want to give all credit to Dwayne Davidson, because he has been the pit bull on this to make sure we got that done, and then he was also the one that kept getting this meeting arranged, and we finally got together, and we're going to get these funds reimbursed to Franklin County. I had the Board of Health meeting, and I'd just like to say we got our interim general manager there. She's here, and she's going to meet with me after the meeting here that we have today, and we've got things happening there that I can't discuss right now, but you'll find out shortly. Columbia Basin Sustainable Water Coalition executive meeting. Had to leave it early to go into the Hanford Communities meeting. And then I went back and revisited the Columbia Basin Sustainable Water Stakeholder meeting, which is an organization that has been put together to help us try to finish the East High, the Columbia Basin Irrigation Project. And at this time, when we have a governor and a state legislature that has got this carbon, this cap and trade and carbon bill coming on to us as far as gasoline, I think it's as ever as important now to finish that East High, because we go through school, we go through a biology class, and in biology we learn that plant life takes carbon from the air and turns it into oxygen. So I would like to say this is a reason why we got to complete that and use the water resources we have to create more oxygen from this carbon. And if they want to charge the farmers for the tractors that we use in the field, then they better be producing the funds to pay us for the oxygen that we create through our plant life that we grow. It's as simple as that. So there you go, Governor. Then we got the Ben Franklin Transit financial discussion. Very good discussion we had at the Ben Franklin office over there about possibility and looking at putting this on the ballot for the voters to vote in. And we keep hearing from the union and the people over there that we voted for this once. Yes, you did, but that was a long time ago. I think we need to revisit it. We need to let the people have the opportunity to utilize those funds either for themselves or for another means within the counties. Because 1/10 of 1% equates to $10 million a year. That's a lot of money that I know in Franklin County we could certainly use. Had the agenda meeting and then the Ben Franklin Workforce Development meeting, and that's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. So last week did have the Board of Health meeting. It was a pleasant surprise to see our interim commissioner attend the meeting. He's a busy guy. He's doing a great job. Had the primary election certification on Thursday and Friday last week, and it's nice to see that they take every step to make sure that every vote is counted, it is legitimate, and they do a fantastic job over there. Had the meeting with Mr. Gonzalez about the agenda. Also had a meeting with the Port of Pasco on discussions with the .09 funds. Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday. One of the things that came out of that is the PUD is looking at a rate increase of 3% for the next 3 years. They haven't voted on it yet, but it looks like it's probably going to move forward. So at the end of 3 years, that will be a 9% increase in the utility rates. But the utility rates have not been raised since 2017, but they are experiencing the same rising cost as all of us are. So, and then it's the transit manager has decided to leave for family reasons. She's done a tremendous job, and she will be extremely missed. And just our thoughts and prayers go out to her and her family. So, well, that is it for my report. We'll move on to administrative office business. Mr. Gonzalez.
Chair, none today.
All right. Public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? Do we have any callers on the phone? All right. Moving on, is there a need for executive session today?
Chair, yes, there is a need for an executive session. This under RCW 42.30110, Section 1, subsection I, potential litigation, 15 minutes.
All right, at this point, we will break for,
Who's in the room?
who do you need?
I will have Jeff Briggs, our attorney, on the phone. He's just had surgery, so he'll join us in executive session on my phone, essentially.
Okay,
So that's all we need.
so commissioners, yourself.
Commissioners,
and clerk of the
myself,
board.
clerk of the board, and Jeff Briggs, our attorney,
All right.
who will join us via phone.
At this point, we'll break for 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. are still off, right?